is biceps femoris long head, and that is biceps femoris short head. So this is at the lateral side of back of thigh. So we are in the medial side of back of thigh, that is semitendinosus, that is the superficial muscle, and that is origin ischial tuberosity. Insertion is into, so that is semimembranosus muscle, semimembranosus, then semitendinosus, biceps femoris long head, then that is the sciatic nerve which is being pulled, and long head of, so that is the sciatic nerve, that is common peroneal nerve, and that is the tibial nerve. So we are seeing the hamstring muscles. So once again, that is so semitendinosus, semimembranosus, that is sciatic nerve, deep to long head of biceps femoris, and that is what is shown is short head. Then again tibial nerve and common peroneal nerve. Hamstring muscles are muscles of back of thigh. So in this we discuss the competency, that is hamstring group of muscles, their attachment, nerve supply and actions. So these hamstring muscle consists of muscles of the back of thigh, or we can also call posture group thigh muscles. So first we'll start with biceps femoris. This is the lateral muscle. Origin is ischial tuberosity, that is long head of biceps femoris takes origin from ischial tuberosity. Then there is one short head that takes origin from middle third of lateral lip of linea aspera. So origin is by two heads, long head from ischial tuberosity and short head from linea aspera, and its insertion is into head of the fibula. Then coming to action and nerve supply. Action is flexion of knee joint and lateral rotation of knee joint in flexed knee joint. Here the knee joint subtype is condylar joint. Condylar joint allows flexion and extension. Apart from that, they also allow in flexed position medial and lateral rotation. So because knee joint is condylar joint, it is having additional action, that is lateral rotation, that is done by biceps femoris. Then coming to nerve supply, it is having dual nerve supply. Long head is supplied by tibial part of sciatic nerve, and the short head is supplied by common peroneal nerve. Then we come to semitendinosus. This is laterally located muscle on the back of thigh. Medially located muscle on the back of thigh. Origin is again ischial tuberosity. All the hamstring muscle take origin from ischial tuberosity. So semitendinosus also takes origin from ischial tuberosity. Insertion. It is inserted into medial epicondyle of the tibia by what is known as pes anserinus major. And as you see in the picture, it is represented like one cylinder is represented, like that represents the medial epicondyle of the tibia. Then you can see the insertions of sartorius laterally, middle is gracilis, and semitendinosus is medial. So all these muscles are inserted like guy ropes. So semitendinosus inserts into by a process called as pes anserinus. That is it is similar to guy ropes. Then we come to semitendinosus action. All the muscles of back of thigh they do the flexion in the knee joint. And the semitendinosus, because they are located on the medial side, they medially rotate the knee joint when it is flexed. And coming to nerve supply, it is supplied by tibial part of sciatic nerve. Then we have another medial muscle, that is semitendinosus. Semitendinosus, continuing with the insertion of semitendinosus, this is pes. What is pes anserinus major? Pes anserinus major is common insertion of three muscles, that is sartorius, laterally, middle gracilis and semitendinosus. This insertion is into medial condyle of tibia, that is next to tibial tuberosity. Between the medial condyle of tibia and pes anserinus major lies bursa anserina, that is for free movement of these muscles. Then we go to the next muscle, that is semimembranosus. This is also the medial muscle. This muscle is deep to semitendinosus. Origin, as usual, it is the common origin, that is ischial tuberosity. Then it is having three insertions. One portion, that is anterior portion, is attached to the anterior part of medial condyle of tibia. Then second is, it also reaches up to the lateral condyle of femur, running in the back of knee joint, forming one ligament that is called as oblique popliteal ligament. This is one of the ligaments of the knee joint. Then it is also inserted into the posterior surface of the medial condyle of tibia. So this muscle is a modified muscle whose insertion has extended beyond, or some part of the muscle might have been lost and that remained as a tendon. Then coming to semimembranosus action, as usual, it is flexion of the knee joint, and as it is located on the medial side, then it helps in medial rotation of knee joint in flexed knee joint. And nerve supply is by the tibial portion of sciatic nerve. So we have discussed the hamstring muscles. These muscles are long, as you have seen. They are having multi-articular, so it articulates at many places, and because of this they are susceptible for strain injuries. And the collective term hamstrings refers to four muscles located in the posterior compartment of thigh, and those four muscles are semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris long head and biceps femoris short head. So these are the four muscles that are usually classified as hamstring muscles. Then we go to another muscle, that is adductor magnus. Adductor magnus is a compound muscle. It has got two portions. One portion is called adductor portion and another portion is called as hamstring portion, because the origin and insertions are almost similar. So coming to adductor portion takes origin from ramus of the pubis and ramus of the ischium. So you can see in the picture you can see it is taking origin from the ramus of pubis and ischium. And insertion, you can see that it is attached from the level of greater trochanter along the linea aspera. So the insertion, that is the pubis, ramus of pubis insertion is little above, whereas the ischium rami insertion will be continuing along the linea aspera of the femur. So, adductor portion is taking origin from the ramus of pubis and ischium, and insertion is all along the linea aspera of the femur. Then we go to hamstring portion. As usual, the hamstring portion takes origin from tuberosity of ischium. Then immediately after the origin, it forms a thick fleshy mass, descends vertically down, forms a rounded tendon, and inserts into one tubercle that is called adductor tubercle. So the origin is ischial tuberosity, then insertion is into medial condyle, one place called as adductor tubercle. This adductor magnus is a compound muscle because it is having two portions. One is adductor portion, another one is hamstring portion. So it is and is also innervated by two different nerves. Adductor portion is innervated by obturator nerve, that is adductor compartment, the nerve of adductor compartment. Hamstring portion is innervated by sciatic nerve, which is the nerve of the posterior compartment. And one more interesting feature is at the insertion of the muscle, all along the adductor magnus, there are a series of openings called as osteoaponeurotic openings. We will see what are osteoaponeurotic openings. So in the picture, the schematic diagram is shown. You can see the adductor muscle, which is represented in red, and how it is attached to the femur, that is all along the linea aspera. And you can see there are four openings. The osteoaponeurotic openings. These openings are meant for the passage of perforating arteries from the medial side of thigh along the surrounding or winding around the femur to enter into lateral side of posterior compartment. So we discuss osteoaponeurotic openings. These are formed by tendinous arches attached to the bone. These tendinous arches belong to the adductor magnus muscle. So these tendinous arches help in forming openings for the passage of perforating arteries, and at the same time do not compress the arteries during the movement of the contraction of the muscle. Upper four openings are small. So there are totally 5 openings. Upper 4 openings are small, and they will be giving passage to perforating branches of profunda femoris artery. So they are giving passage to perforating branches of profunda femoris artery. And the lowest opening is formed by adductor hiatus, that we have already discussed. That is, it is a big opening present in the tendon of adductor hiatus, in the adductor magnus muscle. And this adductor hiatus is a large opening that transmits femoral vessels into popliteal fossa, where the femoral artery will become popliteal artery, and the femoral vein which is ascending will become a popliteal vein which is ascending will become the femoral vein. Then coming to perforating arteries. The perforating arteries are usually 3 in number. They are named so because they perforate the tendon of adductor magnus to reach the back of thigh. They pass backward close to linea aspera of the femur under the cover of small tendinous arches in the muscle. So, the first is given above the adductor brevis. The second is given, or the opening is present in front of the muscle, and the third is found immediately below it. This we can see in one diagram. So in this picture again, you can see there is one portion separated as adductor brevis. So you can see that there is one opening above the adductor brevis, one opening in front of adductor brevis, and one opening below the adductor brevis. So that is the placement of different osteoapneurotic openings that gives passage to perforating arteries of the profunda femoris. Then we come to first perforating artery. The first perforating artery, it anastomoses with inferior gluteal, medial and lateral circumflex transverse branches, and that is what is called cruciate anastomosis. So first perforating artery is a contributor to cruciate anastomosis. The cruciate anastomosis is between, above by the inferior gluteal, below by the first perforating artery, and on either side in the middle by the medial and lateral femoral circumflex transverse branches. And it will be anastomosing below with the second perforating artery. So these are the anastomosis formed by first perforating artery. Then we go to second perforating artery. The second perforating artery is larger than the first. And as it is between first and the third, it anastomoses both with the first and the third perforating artery. And it is giving nutrient artery of the femur. So the nutrient artery is normally given by the second perforating artery. Then we go to the third perforating artery. So that is the third perforating artery. As we can see, it anastomoses with all the higher perforating arteries. That it is anastomoting both with the first and second. And when it comes below, it anastomoses with the terminal branch of profunda femoris, because that will be passing through the fourth. The fourth perforating artery is the terminating branch of profunda femoris itself. So it anastomoses with the terminating branch of profunda femoris. Apart from that, it also anastomoses with the muscular branches of the popliteal artery. So we can see that the third perforating artery anastomoses with higher perforating arteries than terminal branch of profunda femoris and muscular branches of popliteal. Thank you.